God damn it, I was muted. Ladies and germs, welcome to the story of right here on Bowie Films. It is with great honor and sincerity that I present to you brand new freaking season. Excuse my French, I know some children might be at home watching. This is the biggest season yet, season 6. I am here on the story of Patra Rhodes-Wilson, my home girl from another mother. Patra, what's going on?
I am great. Glad to be here. It's a good Friday. It was 55 degrees here, so
It's a little cold down where I'm at, but you know what? We gonna make things heat up because this is season 6. If you didn't hear me already, this is the biggest season yet. So you want to hit subscribe. Subscribe right now. Stay on top of things. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us wherever. Just hit subscribe right now. Bowie Films, the only place. Speaking of the man of the hour, he is a good friend of mine. He is known all around the world by many names. His hit mixtape, Scared of Pussy, Volume 2, is coming out probably never, if I'm being honest and hopeful. Ladies and gents, my good friend Michael Bowie. What's up, Mike?
How's it going, Manny? And you know what? We were talking about the weather. You said it's 55, Patra. And you said, Manny, it's cold down there where you're at. And I don't think a lot of people know where you're at. We don't really talk about it. But when he says it's cold down there, he means down underneath where the cabinets are, kind of where the curbs say the draft kind of can go through there. So it gets kind of cold down there where he's at, if you know what I mean. But here we are, season 6, one of the biggest seasons that we are in here. We are moving along. We're just climbing up the ladder. We're here with Patra Rhodes-Wilson. Patra, this is going to be a blast. Everybody that's watching, this is going to be a blast. This episode is about getting to know you, like when you were a child. And I know, like, when I think about when I was a child, you remember how when you would, put your back up against the wall and your mom would mark how tall you are? Mm-hmm. And everything. I thought like Manny may use like a 12-inch ruler or something back when he was a kid. But when I think about it for you, when you were a kid growing up, tell me what was that like? Did you have siblings? Did you grow up inside of a household with both your parents? Where did you grow up? Where were you born? Tell us a little bit about you.
So I was born in Chicago, Illinois.
Okay.
And I was born.
Go ahead.
Manny, you got hype. I see that. Shout out to Chicago. I was born in Chicago, Illinois, and I was born with both of my parents. So they're both on my birth certificate. However, at that time, they were not married, but they had been together previous, I think like 5 years before they had me. Mm-hmm. I'm my father's first, but mom had a child. So I got an older brother that's 7 years older than me. My father pretty much raised my brother since he was like 1 or 2 years old. And so they were together for quite some time before they had me. And I also have a younger brother. You asked about siblings. I have a younger brother who I share with my father. So I'm technically, the way our family sees it, I'm the oldest, the middle, and the youngest. I'm the oldest on my father's side. I'm the youngest on my mother's side. But the families normally put us together, so I'm in the middle because I got a younger brother who's 5 years younger than me, and we born on the same day, 5 years apart, same hospital at the same time. 2 different mamas. I don't know how that happened, but it did.
So 2 brothers, no sisters. What's that like?
No sisters.
What's that like growing up in a household with both brothers? Did you wish you had a sister? Was it rough? Did they rough you up?
So I didn't grow up in a household with my younger brother at all. He was not a part of the picture at all. My older brother, because he's the older brother, he was the protector. However, my older brother was rough around the edges. So
what does that mean, rough around the edges?
He was a gang member. He was head gang member at like 9 and 10 years old.
Like, are you just saying like he was like a thug, or are you saying like he was in an actual gang?
I mean, my brother was an actual gang when I was actual gang.
Okay, let's mute out the races because we don't want to be associated with anything here.
He was an actual gang member from as far back as I can remember.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's
And
pretty.
again, we're
That's how.
7 years apart. So he's born in, 70, I was born 85.
Yeah, that's he was born in Chicago too, right? You mentioned.
No, he was born in Michigan.
No.
Mm-mm.
Oh, he was born in Michigan.
So where was the gang in Michigan or in Chicago?
Gang was in Chicago.
That's
Mm-hmm.
a rough name. Where was the neighborhood again?
We was out south. So some of my family is at that time we was in Capri Green. We was in which was interesting. Like I think my mind blanked a lot of that out, but I remember the gates on the opening part of, I guess, the hallway. So the Green where it's gates over the part that you can literally fall over. They had like real like the wire gate over that part. So I remember that part vividly all the time. Because as a child, you know, even though you shouldn't have been, you run your hands past the gates, and I remember that. So that's like where it started, and then we moved out. We moved around in Chicago. So we would go out south. We would be up north. Yeah.
Okay, That's what I was gonna ask. Is what part of Chicago your family really is from? I have some family in Chicago too. They're from the South Side as well.
Yeah, 87 and Carpenter is where some of my family is, and then it's 92nd Saginaw, but that's a better area. So that's where the nicer houses are. We was up north, Clark Street. If I can remember, I can't remember the address, but I remember, being in Clark Street, and that's where like a lot of the gang related scenarios happen. Gang related situations happen. A lot of them, me being with my brother, or should I say not being with my brother, because my mom wouldn't allow me to be around him often because he was in gangs.
So being around your brother that's inside of gangs as a gang leader, how did that impact your life? Were you ever brought into the scenarios of things that he was in tune with?
So because my brother was in gangs, like I told you, my mom wouldn't allow me to be around him, and I became a latchkey kid at a very young age. So not sure if you guys know what that means. What that means is like I pretty much became very dependent at 4 and 5 years old. And what I mean by dependent, I mean by like getting home from school by myself. I mean, I had a key in kindergarten. I had a key to my house in kindergarten. And the rule was you wait till everybody leaves the playground and then you run home, all the way home. You do not stop.
Right.
And I would run all the way home. At the max, it couldn't have been no more than 5 minutes because I can't run that fast. I was not a chubby kid, but I can't run that fast. So at the max, it couldn't have been no more than 5 minutes. And literally by the time I put the key in the door and closed it and locked it, my mom was calling on the house phone to make sure I made it home.
Oh, wow. So that gave you a sense of responsibility at a very young age, huh?
I can make stuff in the microwave. I can boil eggs in the microwave, hot dogs in the microwave. Microwave was my friend. I've been using the microwave since I could see step on a chair and get to the microwave.
And Manny, you were able to do that too if your parents put the microwave on the ground, correct?
First of all, Michael,
I'm just curious because I know that usually microwaves are on shelves. But the thing that I was going to say, Patra, is what kind of kid were you growing up? Were you a kid that got all A's? Did you ever get in trouble? To be
I never got a spanking ever. Never. The reason
Black family never got a spanking.
And my mama is every bit of no. You know how they talk through their teeth. My mama is all of that.
Oh, I know.
However, as I told you, my brother was a gang member, so I seen, him be disobedient on purpose, and my mama would wear him out.
Why do you think that your mom's that mentality that your mom had towards you that we would know as a black mother, why that didn't reach your brother and keeping him away from the gangs and trouble?
So I think it was reversed that. I saw that as far back as I remember, when I saw that, I remember one specific time when I knew I would not be disobedient ever again. I was 4 years old, and we just moved into a new place somewhere else. We had to leave a lease early because of something else my brother had done, and moved into this new place. And we didn't have any furniture in the living room yet besides the big box TV. Y'all know the old school big box TV used to sit on the floor. And my mom said, I'll be back. Told my brother to get his stuff from in front of the TV because he loved cartoons and he loved sweets. And she came back and he didn't have his stuff up, and she ripped the cord out of the TV and the wall, and she threw him up. Like she whooped him. And in that moment, that was the staple that was like, yeah, I'll pass.
Right.
What she asked me, I'm doing it.
Yeah. As you should.
Exactly, as I should. I remember that moment like it was yesterday. That was the staple for me to be like, I'm not doing that. I'm not. Right. That was a staple. Yeah.
What was your home life like? You told us a little bit about, you running home and your mom being on the phone already by the time you got there, making sure you was home. What was home like? Did you come into a family that was wealthy or maybe didn't have a lot of money? Did you guys have certain problems?
So my mama handled her business. She was a stylist for years. She retired from being a hairstylist, cosmetologist. She ran salons, so on and so forth. So she retired from doing that over the years. My father retired from his job that he was actually on for many, many years, which I didn't know that. But he retired from his job. However, at that time, my mother and father were very dysfunctional, even though they were together. They were very, very dysfunctional, mean.
I know what dysfunctional means, girl. I'm talking about.
I'm about to explain to you what it meant for my family.
Yep. Go ahead.
Dysfunctional means that I could vividly remember my mother and father boxing like it was Tyson and Holyfield in the ring.
Like
blood.
That?
Yeah, blood. So my mom is 4'11". She's not that tall and she's not that big, but
I'll leave it alone, Manny. Go ahead. Go ahead, Patra.
Manny, I didn't mean that for you. I'm saying just explaining my mama's not that tall. However, she is probably the strongest person I know, and you're not. It doesn't matter how big you are, how tall you are. You're not gonna be her and fighting. Like you're not gonna win. You're not gonna win. You're not gonna win. That's it. And so they was boxing. Like I'm talking about boxing, like it was blood, like everything boxing. What you say?
Like Ike and Tina.
Like, yeah, but my mama was Ike. Period. My mama was Ike. My mama was Hamlin, and so they boxing. Now both of them had blood on them, and I remember me and my brother, my older brother, like we were in the bathroom, and you know how on the cartoons. They got one person sticking their head around and the other person kind of sticking, both trying to see. That's what we was both doing, trying to see.
How did that affect you as a kid to see that? And how young were you when you?
I was about 4.
So how did that affect you? I mean, granted, being the latchkey kid that has all this responsibility.
Where I knew it wasn't right. That was the first thing. First thing, I knew it wasn't right. Secondly, I also knew in that moment that he don't know we saw him. So
right,
if he don't know we saw him, in that moment I'm like, how does this play out? So could we hear them arguing? Absolutely, but he don't know that we saw him physically fighting our mother, or maybe he did know, but that's not what I consumed in that moment with the situation.
What were these fights over? Do you know?
He definitely had a drug problem. And I figured that out later on. But he definitely had a drug problem. It's just 2 and 2 don't equal 3. I mean 4. 4. So it was like 1 and 8 equal 7 or 6 or I don't know. It was off. It was completely off. It was way over your head, and I couldn't. As a child, I was very attentive to what was going on in that moment because I didn't have a choice to be tentative to what was going on because my mom couldn't rely on my brother because he was in gangs. Mm-hmm. I don't ever remember having a relationship with my father younger than 4. Your memory starts like forming the memories, the statement memory pieces in your brain about 3 or 4. So I don't ever remember him really being like 4 and 5 being there. It was all my mom at that time.
Did your pops, because you just mentioned that he had a drug problem, and when you have a drug problem, things change for the worse, unfortunately. Yeah. Did your pops ever like put his hands on you or your brother? You said he wasn't even in the picture, but
I can't even remember.
He was busy getting his ass whooped by her mom.
Hey, listen. Go ahead, Patra. Go ahead.
Period. He was not, honestly, he was physically not, after that physical fight, he was no longer around.
Oh, damn. Where'd he go?
He's been in Chicago his entire life. Him and all his siblings and his mother, his father, they're all still in Chicago for the most part. But he's been in Chicago. He never, like when I was the latchkey kid, he never helped out, never picked me up from school, never came to school, none of that.
That's crazy because...
No, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say that's crazy because your mom's is whooping his ass.
Yeah.
And your mom's is also whooping your brother's ass. And like your brother still ended up doing, taking the route that he took, you know what I'm saying? Being in gangs, involved into all of that. And I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but is your brother still around?
As in alive?
Yeah, gang life don't have no happy endings.
So. Yeah, no, he's still alive. Yeah.
Still in gangs?
No, he's not still in gangs.
I'm sure that we'll get to that because I would want to know what happened.
That's why I was hesitant to say that because he.
No, it's fine. If there's any point that you feel like, hey, I'll save that. Let us know because sometimes we will.
Okay, I would. So he is still alive, and cool. He is no longer part of gangs.
And your father's still alive?
My father's still alive.
And absolutely. Part of your life?
He's a part of my children's life. Yes.
Okay, we'll get to that too then.
Right.
What school did you go to growing up? Shout out to your elementary school.
I had a lot of them. I probably switched schools quite a bit. Kindergarten was the only school I went to up until the 3rd grade. No, it wasn't even 3rd grade. It was 4th grade. Where I didn't, I swapped school maybe every 6 months because we moved around because of my gang affiliated brother.
Oh, right.
I swapped schools a lot. And I was gifted. So I swapped schools a lot. So
one brother's not in your life, the other brother's in a gang and kept away from you. So really, you grew up by yourself.
I did. I grew up as the only child. Absolutely.
So what is that like? For me, I have a sister. When growing up, what's that like growing up having siblings, but really they're not part of your childhood growing up? Did you have a best friend or
I gravitated towards
like Manny has to this day?
I gravitated towards my uncles or my mom's brothers. He has he's married and he has 4 children, 3 girls and a boy, and so with the 3 girls, I fit in right under the oldest. And so those are my siblings. Like those, even though I still have my big brother and my little brother, those are my siblings. Those are like my go-to. Those are, if my group chat get leaked, people gonna be upset. Those are my sister cousins. So if you hear me talk about my sister cousins, I'm talking about those 3. And then they have a little brother too, who's like my brother cousin as well.
Okay.
And then wait a minute. With that being said, they didn't live with me. I gravitated towards more to my friends. So I can remember my first friend in kindergarten named LaTanya King. And I promise you I've been looking for her like my whole life. And I think she was like Hispanic and maybe African American, but
that's what's up.
But her family was always so sweet to me. So this was in kindergarten, and right. I would gravitate more towards my friends and their families. Because, you know, my brother was in gangs and we moved around a lot. We moved around a lot.
Right.
How many times would you say that you moved in your life, in your childhood lifetime?
I will say this. I do not say I'm, like, when people ask me where I'm from, I don't have a place where I'm from. I do not have a place where I'm from. I may have been born in Chicago, but I don't have a place where I'm from.
Was that rough on you, moving from place to place? Like, when I was in college, I lived in 7-8 different places. To pack up your shit, go somewhere else, get new friends, new school, new environment, new neighbors. How did that affect you?
That affected me positively and negatively. Positively because I can fit in with anybody. I can fit in with anybody. I can start talking to you and from wherever we are at that moment, and we can hit it off. So I'm definitely very adaptable. However, negatively, I always feel like I need to change all the time. From the way I live, from the way I look, from the way, because we changed, like we moved a lot. When we moved a lot, there's times when we left things, and I'm, you know, as a child, we would, you know, there's the list goes on. So I always, I struggle with wanting to change where I'm at, who I'm at. I'm talking about from living to who I am to how I'm saying stuff, because I'm so used to changing all the time.
So you told us a little bit about how you were responsible since you know kindergarten, and you just told us a little bit about you switching from school to school and how you're able to adapt to these different situations. Whatever life throws at you, you're ready.
Yes.
But Michael asked you a little bit earlier, and I didn't quite catch the answer. What was your school life like? Were you a good student, bad student? Did you rebel at school?
I excelled. I was a scholar. That was
any school you went to.
Every school. And the reason why I was a scholar, because my brother did not do school or anything, you know, like that. And so as I told you, that statement of a situation that happened when I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be disobedient anymore. That was kind of just like, it was like a full circle moment. I was going to do what I was told. I was going to focus in school. I wasn't going to have them calling my mama all because these were the things that was happening on my brother's behalf. You know, anything that my brother was doing negatively that I could see, I was going to make sure that wasn't me. I didn't want to put that extra burden on my mother. And this is as far back as I can remember. 4 or 5 years ago.
When you were younger, did you understand what it meant for him to be in a gang? And do you have regrets to where you wish that you did have that brother, regardless of the fact that he was in a gang, as being part of your life, whether him or the other brother? Or are you content with your childhood growing up kind of as that?
No, I do. I wish the gang life wouldn't have never been a part of his life. I'm going to be completely honest with you. When I was 5, I also found a 22 under my bed. He was hiding it under my bed, and I thought it was a toy. And so I brought it into the room and to my mom, and I was like, oh, Mom, look at this. And it was, obviously, she knew it was real. I didn't know it was real. And the scream from my mom was just like, don't move, don't, you know, a parent frantic. And she took the gun, and we moved that day.
You just moved because of the. Hold on. You found your brother's gun, showed it to your mom's. Your mom's obviously had the reaction that she should have had.
We moved the next morning.
Just packed up and moved.
Mom, we moved the next morning to Michigan. I promise you, we moved the next morning. We moved the next morning, and that was my last day in Illinois.
What part of Michigan?
As a child? We moved to Ben Harbor. Yeah.
Okay, so we just did an episode about from our last guest. His name was Will Baker Sled. Do you know Will?
Yes.
How did you meet Will, or is that down the line that we kind of want to say?
No, it's not much more down the line. I met Will as a child in elementary school. Okay. We both went to what you would consider the Gifted and Talented, is actually what it was called, Gifted and Talented school, and that's how we met. I'm a year younger than him, or I was in a grade younger than him, so that's how we met. because I was also in the same gifted and talented.
And this was elementary school, you said? What grade?
I was in the 5th grade.
Okay.
So I was about 9, 10-ish.
And what was that change like in terms of states? Now you're switching states, moving.
I was not upset because Michigan was where all of my sister cousins and my aunts and my grandma, that's where a lot of my family was. So when we did as a child, when I was in Chicago, we did like vacation, or I wouldn't say vacation, but like school breaks and summer breaks, we would go to Michigan a lot. So it was like my second home. You know, you always got that second place. So it was like my second home. And ultimately, I always wanted to be closer to my sister cousins. Wherever the squad could be together, I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to, whatever I need, I'm trying to get there. So I wasn't upset when we moved to Michigan. However, when we went to Michigan, me and my brother stayed, but my mama went back to Chicago.
But you said that you dealt with like trying to get away from the crime and the gang life that your brother was leading while you're inside of Chicago. Now, after doing Will's season, I'm a little terrified to go to Benton Harbor. So you moved to Benton Harbor. Is that an upgrade, a downgrade? Like,
Benton Harbor is definitely a small. So in Chicago, there's a neighborhood called Inglewood. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
I know Inglewood in California.
So it's rough. It's very rough. It's very rough. Benton Harbor is a mini Inglewood, especially at that time. Benton Harbor was a mini Inglewood at that time, and I'm so serious. It was a mini Inglewood at that time, and so being that we left Chicago to go to Benton Harbor, because a lot of Benton Harbor people they're natives of Chicago. A lot of people are natives of Chicago. A lot of people still got family in the city of Chicago. So with that being said, when we moved to Benton Harbor, and my mom went back because she made good money in the city doing hair, whatever. We moved to Chicago. We stayed with my aunt, which is my mom's older sister.
Okay.
And my mom would come back every weekend, give and bring money, bring food, and my mom was like, why are we not living with my mama?
Right.
Why are we staying with my auntie?
Right.
My auntie had that time, she had 3 boys, and I couldn't understand that. Right. Mm-hmm. I couldn't understand why we're staying with my aunt, but my mom, I know my mom made good money. That's how I learned how to count. I used to count her tips. Right. And I remember her teaching me how to count in 20s, 20, 40, 60. It was like $1,000. So I remember her, like, I know she got the money. So why she not here doing that? Come to find out, my auntie committed welfare fraud and said she had 5 kids. And my mama didn't want her to go to jail. So she let my auntie keep us for the school year.
That's tough. I had a friend who used to sell food stamps down by the farmers market, but he soon found out only white people go to farmers markets.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I had another question, but I wanted to clarify this for Michael, because Michael is not very street oriented. He said he was talking about Inglewood, California. That's ING, Inglewood. Inglewood in Chicago is ENG.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know about Inglewood. Like I said, I got family up there. One of my cousins recently passed due to gang violence. That's why I had to ask. And that's why I'm asking this next question too. You moved to Michigan. What happened to your brother?
My brother went, the gang life continued right on to Michigan. Gang life travel continued right on. I think it was like our first few days there. He whooped the boy out of his flip-flops in front of my auntie house. Yeah. And to top it off, my brother was born with congestive heart failure. He was supposed to die at 4 months old. He has, the 4 valves in your heart. Mm-hmm. One don't work. Mm-hmm. And so he was born like this. Asthma and bronchitis. Born like this. But he ain't never lost a fight a day in his life.
I believe it.
That was his athletic aerobics.
Except to your moms. I'm sure he'd probably lose a couple fights to your moms. I
don't think he would ever go against her, because
I like it. I like that. That's a real street. Yeah. Shouts out to him, even though Anyway.
Your mom got a better record than Floyd Money Mayweather. I get it. We have learned a lot here about just what life was like for you growing up and how things were. This was the beginning of your story as we move into that next chapter. I just want to thank you for tuning in and sharing that part of your life, and I'm looking forward to next week where we would delve deeper into it. I'm not going to ask you any questions to end it. I'm going to end it on this note because I feel like there's just so much that we've taken in. And you know, Manny said I'm not familiar with the streets. He's right. Not all of us are that close down to where the streets are in terms of the curbs and the ground. So you're right. I'm not. No, I got it. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell, do all that jazz. Let us know what you guys think inside the comments. If you want to be a guest on the show, let us know and we'll get you put on. Patra, thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you for being a guest. Manny. Anyway, thank you everybody. I want to just say this has been an experience. We're in season 6. We are doing big things, and I just want to thank all the support for everybody that has tuned in over the years. This season's going to be a good one, and every season after that, we're just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So thank you for everyone for tuning in, and we will check you guys out next week.